Hey everyone, how's it going? I am Zeracon here. Um, Sorry about the format of this video. Things were a bit weird. In case you haven't noticed, last video, I changed the way I was recording my videos with a different camera. And granted, I was trying to do something in the last video as far as recording the format, but things didn't exactly go as smoothly as I thought they would be. And I thought that they would be touched upon by the time this video was coming out. And I ran into some hiccups still. In fact, the current video I'm about to talk about today, I was going to be doing that last week, but like I said, I ran into problems, so I wasn't able to actually record it. Yeah, so I'm going to try to figure out what's going on there and stuff. But hopefully by the next time I do another video, there shouldn't be any more problems and everything will go smoothly. Um, and yeah, with that being said, well, no, there's one thing I wanted to talk about before I actually started doing this. Well, just because it happened recently, if in case you didn't know. So Capcom came back later. This is talking about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and they said that the reason why that there aren't going to be any X-Men characters in the game is because no one remembers who the X-Men are or any X-Men characters, but that they know who Guardians of the Galaxy and Black Panther are. And I thought that it is completely ludicrous to think of such a statement. Now, I think I understand why, they said that because of the fact that, Fox and the owning the X-Men as far as film franchises go. But still, if you had just said that we can't, that the reason why these characters aren't coming is because we can't use them, that's fine. That's fine. I completely accept that. I completely I appreciate the honesty, but to go ahead and say that no one remembers who the X-Men are, that is ridiculous to say the least. Because everyone knows who the X-Men are. I mean, it wasn't until the movies came out that I didn't even know who the Guardians of the Galaxy were. No, I mean, I mean, I'm not a complete. I don't know everyone within the comic book universes and franchises, but I still read the comics and stuff. And so I know who more obscure characters were. Like I knew who the Black Panther was before his appearance in Civil War. For the mainstream audience, they most likely did not know who Black Panther was. And they most certainly did not know who the Guardians were. Like I said, I didn't even know who the Guardians were. But to say that no one knows who the X-Men are, considering the fact that we just had an X-Men movie last year, and this year we had X-Men Apocalypse last year, and when we had Logan in March. So to say that no one knows who the X-Men are, that's completely bogus, and that was a big stench in my nose. If I can be honest here, and it definitely made me glad that I canceled my pre-order for Marvel vs. Capcom Collector's Edition, even though, like I said, I really like those Infinity Stones and special statues. I'm glad that I canceled it now, just because of that statement that they gave. Like I said, I understand why, if it really is why I think it is, but to just straight up lie like that. And X-Men, they're more popular than the Guardians are. I mean, as far as like recognizable. Now, uh if you like if you didn't ask some random person, they could easily identify who X-Men characters are, especially if it's like Wolverine and stuff. I mean, it's also crazy also the fact that, Marvel versus Capcom would not have happened in the first place if it wasn't for the X-Men, because, they had X-Men Children of the Atom, and then they based Marvel versus Capcom off of that. So, it's completely, ill-conceived, and, they talk about, like, no one recognizes them, but, they have Mega Man X, and talk about, like, how, fans wanted X. Fans want Wolverine and Magneto, and, they want Deadpool in there. Um, but, like, and so I'm like, all right, so we had X-Men last year and this year. When's the last time we had Mega Man X? Hmm? You've got King Arthur. When's the last time we had Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts? What else? Wow, I can't believe I forgot. Morrigan. When's the last time we had I'm drawing a blank here, but you know the game I'm thinking of with her, and that's Darkstalkers. No, is that it? That that's not it, is it? I think that's it. But yeah, when's the last time we had that game? So, to go and say that, the reason why these we're not having that, and also, where's we have Dante, but, where's Devil May Cry? When's the last time we had that? That's been longer than, an X-Men movie, which would cater to a mainstream audience. So no one's buying your excuse, Capcom. No one. But with that sort of mini rant out of the way, I guess we'll be going into sort of a new rant. So I was really hesitant to do this, discuss this, because this is currently a it's sort of a slippery slope right here, to I guess you could say, because this is a very it's well, it's just interesting, I think, just because of the material. So there I'm not going to I'm not going to say specifically who it is. If you all want to do your research and figure out this thing, be my guest, go ahead and do that. But, just because I do not want uh, the followers of the person who I'm going to be talking about, like, just to come after me and whatnot, even though, it's probably unlikely that anyone's even going to, I guess, see that I'm saying all this on, like, a very, small channel and whatnot. But still, just because, I like to cover my bases and whatnot. So there's this one YouTuber who's like reporting news and stuff, on mostly, for the most part, Nintendo media and whatnot. He talks a little bit about other games that aren't Nintendo related, but mostly it's related to Nintendo or games that have a possibility of coming to Nintendo, but he doesn't really talk about them as much. He's mostly oriented towards Nintendo news, and that's fine. That's fine. I have no qualms there. There are other people who talk about just mostly Nintendo news. Heck, I talk about mostly Nintendo news. Just because that's my platform of choice. However, and this is getting to where my beef is with him. He's only talking about the good things that are going on with Nintendo. He's not talking about any of the negatives or things that, could possibly be bad. He's basically just like really hyping up Nintendo right now, and more specifically the Nintendo Switch, to be specific. And to the point, it's a fanboy sort of stance, and saying, like, he's really basically just like completely trashing the Wii U, and just like saying that the Switch is going to be, like the second Wii and whatnot. I mean, granted, it has the potential to become that, but at the same time, it's still way too early, just to say that, it's become one. And so, some things which were mentioned, and then I think mostly because of like ports and stuff, and then the reason why I'm mentioning this a lot is because of the fact that other of his like colleagues and stuff were talking about um, third party support and whatnot, and E3 and games for the Switch and all and stuff like that. And things eventually got heated up in debates and whatnot. And then, granted, there were some things I could agree with, like how the Wii U did receive some sloppy ports, that effort wasn't really put into them. But at the same time, you really can't say that the reason why no one bought them was just because of that. I mean, there were some ports which he mentioned that I bought, which I was fine with. I mean, granted, I never played the original form of games that they were on, like the PS3, Xbox 360. But from my point of view, that they were pretty good. They were decent. I enjoyed them. Um, and also, I'm not completely critical when it comes to games, as long as I'm enjoying it, and it doesn't look like complete trash, then I'm fine. I'm fine. So I guess my standards aren't the same as his, but still, then he's like saying stuff, and then eventually got to a point where he even had a debate with one of his colleagues, and it was really fired up. And even on his Twitter and stuff, they were going back and forth. And there was another person like debating with him, although it was almost like talking to a brick wall because he wasn't listening to anything that anyone else was saying, or like acknowledging any of the other points and stuff. Just it was a one-sided debate, I guess you could say. Um, and so, like I said, and after the debate happened, I was just going to let things go. And even after the problem I had last week with like recording, I decided that I decided that I wasn't going to make this video or whatever. But then this morning, this is what really, I guess you could say, set me off again, because um in case you haven't heard, there's a rumor that well, there's a rumor that the that Ubisoft's having a problem with getting Steep ported to the Switch, and yeah, and that can present a bit of a problem for the Switch. Getting this, I guess you could say, larger AAA game over to the Switch, even though if you think about it, the Xbox and PS4 had problems getting it to run it on their systems as well. But so you can think about it, it's like this is, I guess you could say, expected, since the other platforms have problems too. And then but there are also concerns that it could be delayed further or upright canceled. Although based on this report, rumor that Nintendo is stepping in to help with that. So that's pretty good. The problem though is the fact that someone mentioned this on one of his videos, saying, are you going to say anything about Steep being delayed due to problems? And this is what he had to say. He said that well, basically he said he didn't care about Steep. And here's what I thought about, and this is like applying to a lot of I guess you could say Nintendo fanboys. They don't care about a game if it's not coming to the Switch. But if that game was coming over, then they would be saying that it's a great game and how they're going to support it and get it and buy it and whatnot, and how this is another win for Nintendo and whatnot. And I'm thinking, wow, you all are so is two-faced the right word to use in this scenario? But whatever it is, whatever word you would use, that's it's like, wow. It's, I mean, like, this guy was and I'm like, and oh, no, also not only did he say that, he said that he didn't care about Steve, but he also said it was just a rumor. And he does a lot of rumor reports as well, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, you're gonna say it's just a rumor, but you're reporting a lot of rumors yourself. about like other games that could come, but not about games that might not come. And and no, and and here's even more icing on the cake. Um, so in case you also haven't heard, Platinum Games had a new Japanese Twitter account today, and they made a post with Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1, with Bayonetta 2 being the top half of a picture with blue, and then Bayonetta 1 being red on the bottom. And so, people were speculating, hey, that's the same color scheme of the Nintendo Neon Joy-Cons, blue and red. And to which, not only that, but when they posted that, and when other people posted similar things like that, Platinum liked those posts and whatnot. And so I thought to myself, okay, this is all just speculation at this point. I mean, I thought that would be pretty cool. And not only that, I mean, this part is just a comment I read, and it's a bit of a stretch. But someone said, not only are there, in addition to about getting a Bayonetta 1 and 2 port, but also the fact that there are three barrels. You have the single barrel for Bayonetta 2, but the double barrel gun for Bayonetta 1, which would speculate Bayonetta 3 possibly coming to the Switch. So that, but like I said, that part's just like a comment in an article. But that would be pretty cool, I think. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, but I said this is just speculation, and I already knew as soon as I saw that he was going to make a video about that. And I thought to myself, as soon as I read that comment, and first off, I read and as soon as I read that, I knew that he was going to do a video about it. And sure enough, he made a video talking about that. And I'm thinking to myself, for a guy who said that something was a rumor, yeah. And like I said, he doesn't say anything bad about a Nintendo game. It's like he's always saying like, "Wow, this is great. This is this is gonna be great. It's gonna sell well." And then he's always making a big stinker about the portability feature, which again, it's a great concept and feature that's part of the Switch. But he makes that the defining point as to why a Switch version would be the definitive version or something like that, because of the portability factor, which again is a great feature for people who don't have time to just to sit and game at home. They can take it with them on the go and whatnot. But yeah, that's one of the big main selling points that he has for it, and whatnot. uh but yeah, and then also with the Splatoon voice chat, he would like he was just saying like he instead of like saying, I mean, yeah, you could say we know nothing about the voice chat and whatnot, and how with the phone app and everything what's happening, we don't know how it's gonna work, if it'll be good. But the point is, though, we shouldn't need to have a phone just to do simple voice chat. And he's defending stuff like this, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, you must be really trying to be on Nintendo's good side, trying to get like sponsorships and whatnot, and ambassador deals and whatnot, and being able to get all this stuff. So you're like, wow, you are such a sellout. um, yeah, and not only that, but his I guess you could say fan base, his followers and subscribers and whatnot, they're almost like minded, especially this one person too, who's really just like as bad as him, because when he mentioned, I can't remember what it was, but it's a app. Wow, I can't remember what it's called, but it's that whatever chat app or something like that. And then talking about like, possibly coming to the Switch to use for voice chat. And this guy was saying, no, we shouldn't be using it. We should be using what Nintendo's giving us and stuff. He's saying like conventional voice chat is too boring and simplified and stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, how is it boring? Just going into a game, and just automatically being able to chat with friends and whatnot, or whoever you're playing multiplayer with in a game. that's something that I would want. I don't want to have to, use a phone. And also another thing, not everyone has a smartphone and stuff. So, how are people who don't have smartphones, going to be able to play? Now you could say, yeah, well, it sucks to be you, but still, just because it's 2017 doesn't mean everyone sort of keeps up with, like, all the latest technology and whatnot. Um, so yeah, that's my point there. And so, like, this guy, these the guy who is doing these videos, and then just this one guy, they really irk me. And I mean, it's almost to the point that I mean, I don't want this to happen because, like I said, I like Nintendo. But, like, if Nintendo flopped, I would just want to see what their reactions are, just to like seeing them, like, saying, like, stuff like, "Oh wow, the Switch is going to be their greatest success since the Wii and whatnot," and like the Switch can't do wrong, or everything is perfect. No, no. So if something like that were to happen, what would their responses be? I would really just love to see their faces and whatnot. But yeah. And the crazy thing is, before I really saw how much of a fanboy this guy was, I actually subscribed to his channel, um, like because I want to keep up with news. Now I'm mostly getting my news from yeah, I'm mostly getting my uh news from Spawnwave. Definitely recommend Spawnwave. Not only does he talk about news, but he also does a lot of tech stuff. Like, he'll uh he'll take apart like a console and stuff. He'll show you how to like, I guess you could say, he did recently did a video like how you can like build your own SNES game, like as far as like a cartridge and whatnot, doing stuff like that. He took apart a PS4 Pro. He took apart Game Boy Advance, and can't remember what else he took apart. Something else. I think took apart something else, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, he does other stuff too, and he's a very down to earth person, and and for he lacks bias. I guess that's what you can say. I mean, he talks about Switch stuff. I guess you could say that's a good portion of his news, but he does talk about other games and stuff. Like, he talks about different businesses and stuff. Like, he'll talk about other companies. He'll talk about Xbox and Sony. Yes, yeah, Microsoft and Sony stuff as well. So he's pretty, I guess you could say, well rounded. He doesn't. I mean, he built up a lot of his popularity because of talking about, like, Switch news and stuff. But he's just a likable guy. I mean, I like him. He's the type of person you want to talk about because he'll pretty much just talk about things as they are, and stuff like that. So that's why I would prefer someone like him over the other person who is just a fanboy. And like I said, there are other. I mean, there are other Nintendo news channels and stuff, and Nintendo like stuff I also watch. But at the same time, they can be also sort of critical towards Nintendo as well. Like, I don't know if you know him, but Arlo, he is a big Nintendo fan. However, he has been very critical about Nintendo's games and stuff, and he also is cautiously optimistic. He was also cautiously optimistic about the Switch as well. And so, even though he really likes Nintendo, he also is willing to, not just let the name blind him and whatnot. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just me getting some stuff off my chest. And also how it's weird, I never really thought about, being just because you're, I guess you could say, part of the Nintendo branch of the fandom, that there would be just this internal conflict going on, especially, going on with the Switch right now. You would think that you would either be a person who just really loves Nintendo right now, or just a person who doesn't like Nintendo. But, even though there are people who do love Nintendo, there's just this big, I guess you could say, civil war going on between us. It's like, God, choose a side. It's just like, Captain America and Marvel and whatnot. But yeah, that's all for today. I just want to get all this off my chest and stuff. And like I said, hopefully I'll be able to fix the visual problem with recording. So yeah, that's pretty much it, everyone. If you know what I'm talking about and you want to talk about it, in a reasonably and calm manner, just leave a comment below and whatnot. But until next time, I am Zaracon signing off. Have a good one.